Well, welcome to Lighthouse, everyone. I'm Scott, pastor of Lighthouse Church, and as we have a video like this every once in a while, every few weeks, we try to describe to us a bit what our mission groups of our church are. We have two types of groups, discipleship groups, which you'll hear more in the next coming weeks, but mission groups are formed around a neighborhood, a network, or a need. And they really are a way in which we as the church are sent out as mission into our city. And God's work is as various different ways that he does his thing through us in the everydays of life. And so all of us see needs in our city. All of us are in networks that you've been placed around your workplace and things you enjoy, hobbies you're part of. But the one I'm going to speak about today is the neighborhood. And really, when Lighthouse started, that's what it was, actually. It was a neighborhood mission. My family and I moved into Parkside Place, which is just across the street behind the gas stations. It gets to a nice view of the new Colquitt's Bridge that's going in with all the noise that's going there. But we've lived there for many years, and that community has in many ways become our first congregation, the place where we met our first neighbors, had our first prayers, talked with our first people about our faith there in that community. And so we as a family have committed to saying, how can God work through us in that neighborhood? And so over the years, we've prayed often about each of the neighbors we meet, the individuals by name, and the families we have over. We used to have many of them over for dinner and those kinds of things. And then this summer, we did a Canada Day party, which was basically everyone goes to the gorge, and then after the gorge is done, we all have just a party for Parkside at the playground of our community, and we just hang out and spend the time together and talk and get to know one another. And then we did one just as we get ready to start back into school on Friday. And so again, just a lot of hot dogs and hanging out. So as a way of connecting to the neighborhood, and I've often been so encouraged. I mean, you sort of, whenever you think about your neighbors, you think, okay, it's a lot of just the hi-bye relationship. You park the car, hi, and then you go into your house. Or you get in your car, you go to work, bye, and then you go. So that's the hi-bye relationship. And we all know what that's like, and we all have those, and I'm no excuse to that. But I think the idea of saying, what is it that God could do through increasing that relationship and helping that go a little further, and seeing where God uses us in just the everyday relationships just in your neighborhood. I think it's amazing how God actually has providentially placed each of us in the city in different parts of town, and there's a reason for him having you where he has you, not just because you happen to get in the market that day and got that cool house, or you just happen to really enjoy this part of town, that he's actually purposely placed you for the relationships he's going to bring your way. And we found that is deeply true, being just in the nick of time for someone going through a very hard thing, needing some counsel or prayer, needing specific conversations, and invite to church, those kinds of things. And so God has used it. And so I'd encourage you to pray for our community, our neighborhood, but to use this moment to think about praying for your own neighborhood and thinking, maybe of all the mission groups of Lighthouse Church, I haven't found one that I'm fitting in yet. But I have been placed in a neighborhood, and perhaps that neighborhood needs a bit more of my time and energy, my love, and maybe a conversation with some of us as pastors to just come around you and say, here's some strategic ways that you might use your calendar year to do a bit better at reaching out to your neighbors. And so we'd love to have those kinds of conversations and the sort of the development of a new neighborhood mission group. All right?